Hello everyone! Today we're going to be talking about Algebra 1. If you enjoy learning, hit that subscribe button right now. So today we're going to talk about weighted averages. And we're going to have two main goals today. We're going to solve mixture problems, which don't necessarily mean you're combining two products of like a fluid or something like that. It can be any kind of mixture problems actually. And number two, we're going to solve uniform motion problems. So this is very, very, very interesting, particularly in my line of work of doing these types of problems because we do this every day. So let's start out with a couple definitions. So the first one is going to be weighted average. And that's what we're talking about today. So this is a product of the number of units and the value per unit divided by the sum of the number of units. Okay, so remember, product is multiplication, and dividing, we know what dividing is, and the sum is addition. Alright, let's look at another definition here. Let's figure out what are mixture problems. And these aren't just talking about chemistry, it can be many different things. Alright, so these are problems in which two or more parts are combined into a whole. Alright, so let's look at an example. Example 1. And again, doesn't have to be a chemistry problem. It could be something that we do every single day. So let's look at this example here. Let's say that a course, so that's a class that you're taking, has homework, projects, and exams. Okay? And the homework is worth 10% of the grade. The projects are worth 20% of the grade. And exams are worth 70% of the grade. So this is the final grade of the course, okay? And this is actually quite typical of college courses that I've taken in the past, where the homework is worth very little. Sometimes it's not worth anything. They assign it to you and don't give you any credit. It's up to you whether you do it or not. And then projects, sometimes they can be worth more than 20%, sometimes not. And then they put a lot of emphasis on exams, and they make them particularly difficult. But we're going to make this easy. So let's talk about a student. Their ears are going to be burning. I don't know if you get that joke or not. Let's rewrite this. A student averages 90 on homework. And this is pretty typical. Usually students do better on homework. 80 on projects. And 70 on exams. Okay. So usually exams are really tough, so they're the hardest to score high on. All right, what is the student's grade? Okay. Yeah, it's a bad looking G. So this is what we want to know. What is the student's grade? So we got to find this average. So how do we find the average? So we know that they score 90 on homework, and the 90 is worth 10%. So if we do 90 times the decimal fraction decimal of 10%, that's 0.1. And we add that to 80 times, for the projects, times 20% of that grade. So that's times 0.2. And then what do we score on the exams, or this student? 70, and that's 70% of the grade. So 70 times 0.7. Okay, so if I break out my handy dandy calculator, I'm going to find out that their grade is 74. And depending on the institution, that could be a different grade, different letter grade than other institutions. But for a lot of the experience I've had in the past, this will be around a C. So not too bad, not too great, just somewhere in the middle there. All right, so now let's talk about another definition. This is going to be uniform motion problems. What kind of problems are these? Uniform motion. So uniform is like pretty standard. Motion means that you're moving, right? And then problems means something for us to solve. So these are problems where an object moves at a certain speed or rate. Okay, so we have this basic equation of D is equal to R times T. And D is distance, R is speed, and T is time. Okay? So distance is equal to speed times time. Alright, so let's look at another example here. Example 2. Wow, y'all are getting the examples today. Alright, so this one is going to be something I really like talking about. On pit road. So this is where a car during a race comes and receives maintenance from the team during the race. So on the pit road, the speed of cars is measured as distance over time. Okay, if a car drives along pit road that is 0.25 mile and it takes about 15 seconds. What is the average speed of the car? Okay, so there's this car traveling a quarter mile, and it takes 15 seconds for it to move that quarter mile. So we have a distance and we have a time, and we're trying to find speed. Okay, so we have this equation, D is equal to RT, but what we're looking for is R. So let's divide both sides by T. So we got D over T is equal to R, because this becomes 1. Okay? So what is the distance? We have 0.25 miles. What is the time? So it's in seconds, but what we would like to do is get it into hours so we can get miles per hour. Because a lot of times when we talk about the speed of vehicles, we talk about mile per hour. Like for example, the speed limit signs that you might see in the USA. So I went ahead and converted this. So there's 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. So when I convert this, I get 0.00417 hours. Okay, so if we divide this 0.25 by 0.00417, we get about 60 mile per hour. So that's how fast the car is going. So what we did was we took the measurement of how far it traveled, divided by how much time it took to travel that much distance, and that gave us the speed of the car. Good job. Alright, let's look at one last problem here. Alright, so let's say that many schools base a student's grade point average. What is a grade point average? So this is what their average grade is across all their subjects. And this is also called a GPA. Okay? On the student's grade. And the class credit rating. So since this is based on the class credit, how many credits there are for that course, this makes it a weighted average. So if a course you go to it 3 hours a week, that's weighted more than a class that you go to 1 hour a week. So it might be like a 3 credit hour class versus a 1 credit hour class. So if you spend more time working on that class, just because it requires more lectures and more homework and stuff, then you should probably get more credit for that class than a class where you do less work. Although this isn't always the case, especially in courses that have labs. So remember that when you go to the university. And if you have any questions about that, you're welcome to leave them in the chat and I'll try to help you out. So let's talk about this student here, Sanket. His grade, trying to put lipstick on a goop. Alright, his grade for the semester is given, where A equals 4 and B equals 3. What is his GPA? Okay, so let's look at what courses he's taking here. So we have a list of the courses. So we have Algebra 1. Yay, that's what we're learning. We have Physics. Whoa, that's an interesting class. We have American English. And we have Spanish. Spain version. Okay. Alright, and let's look at how many credits each one of these courses are. So this one is a 3 credit hour class. Oh, that's a lot of work. This one's also 3. Oh, that one's also a lot of work. This one's 1. Oh, not so much work. And this one's 3. Okay, so he's taking total 10 credits. And his grade, he makes an A in Algebra 1 because he learned from Multipro. I'm just kidding. But hopefully I helped. And then Physics, he made a B. Maybe because he didn't listen to Multipro. I'm just kidding. Alright, and American English, he made an A. Great job for him. He's great at American English. And when he speaks Spanish, there's different types of languages depending on which country you're in. He made a B. Okay? So, if we go back up here to this weighted average definition, it's the product of the number of units and the value per unit divided by the sum of the number of units. So basically, this is a very simple equation, okay? Don't let the words confuse you. So remember that A is a 4 and B is a 3, okay? So when it talks about the value per unit, that's what it's referring to. So like A's are 4 and B's are 3, okay? And we're going to multiply that times the number of units. Then we're going to divide it by the sum of the number of units, okay? So what's the sum of the number of units? We have 10. And then this is equal to a 4, this is equal to a 3, this is equal to a 4, and this is equal to a 3. So what we got to do is we got to multiply these. And then what we're going to do is divide by this number here. We got this. Okay. So if we do 3 times 4 plus 3 times 3 plus 1 times 4 plus 3 times 3 and divide by 10, this gives us that they have a GPA of 3.4. That's actually pretty good. Alright, that's all we have this time. I hope to see you all next time.